Hi, everybody. It's okay. Hi, everyone. It's Mark. How's everybody doing? Sorry we're a little late. We had a little thing with the rain and stuff, but everything's fine. I hope everybody's doing all right in the rain and the winds and everything that's going on. Pretty crazy outside today. Um, I'm going to do a show that's a question and answer show tonight. So, never done one of these before. So, please help me along with that. That would be great. Um, trying to There we go. All right. Now I got myself. I can see myself. And I got the captions on too. That's pretty cool. Um, so I have to see my comments from everybody. I haven't seen anybody's comments yet. So, anyways, I'm gonna try and answer. Hi, Andrew. How you doing? Gonna try and answer people's questions today about you sent me, and I'm gonna give you a little information of my own in general, so you can find out a little bit more about me and Scott. Scott's with me tonight. Say hi to Scott, everybody. And we're going to be doing just a lot of information for everybody. So I was going to go over my hobbies and my passions. And I like going walking when it's not raining outside. And I'm going to do. I like listening to some music while I'm doing that. That way I can get more ideas of what songs I can do in the future for everybody. And hi, Paula, how you doing? And Diane, how you doing? Thanks for joining us. Patty, how you doing? And Linda, hi, how you doing? I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing tonight. I've never done this before, so I'm just going over some stuff. My hobbies and my passions. I watch a lot of TV with Scott. Been watching Yellow Jackets on Showtime and Dark Winds when that's coming back, I guess, in August, I guess. And then was watching HBO on Perry Mason on HBO. That was pretty good too for 2 seasons. I guess not going to renew that though, of course. But and Your Honor and Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Those are basically what the shows I've been watching, and I don't know if everybody else has been watching those shows. Also, I watch a lot of those documentaries. They did one on Little Richard not too long ago. I was watching that. That was pretty cool. One on Doc Severinsen and one on Chicago. And the other shows we watch probably are like something with Gordon Ramsay, like my shirt is Gordon Ramsay there. And I got this from Scott and Tatiana when they went to Las Vegas. It's pretty cool. It says "Welcome to Hell" on it. And I'm going to talk more into the microphone so everybody can hear me better. So, and Hell's Kitchen, and also watching Kitchen Nightmares when that's on, and Red Sox baseball when they're winning. Not very often, but those are the sort of things we watch. And let's see. Hi, Diane. How you doing? Trying to. And Nancy, how you doing? Just trying to do this for everybody so everybody can know a little bit more about us. So, Nancy was asking me what's my heart's desire. This is Nancy Lusk, and I said I hope to be able to keep playing piano for many years to come. This was my heart's desire. What I'm doing. And Diane Hobson wanted to know when did I start playing piano. I think I was about 8 years old, and we lived with my mother's parents. They had this grand piano that I play every week here. That's the one I was learning on. That was my grandparents' piano in the living room in Quincy. And my grandfather used to sing opera, which really bothered my ears. I tell him not to sing opera because it was really, it made me cry and stuff. So I didn't like that sort of thing. And my grandmother used to play the piano. And on my father's side, they had a piano over in the other part of Quincy. I used to go for a piano lesson there, and they go over my lesson on Wednesdays, and that's what happens. And then I go over it with them. He was like a choir director in a church, so he had musical talent too. He played the piano too, and that's basically where I got my beginnings of music. And I was about 8 years old then, and I just continued doing it. And I was taking lessons from somebody named Mrs. Dennehy, way up in Quincy somewhere, and I was learning from all the different books, the different color books they used to have, the orange book and the green book and the purple book. And what happened eventually was, let's see, in, eventually was my mother, her friend, wrote her. She had a daughter who was going to New England Conservatory. Her name was Charlene, and she was listening to what I was doing and stuff. And she says, I think you can do better. You know, I think you have more potential. So she taught me how to use chords in the left hand. And she says, would you want to learn stuff like Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass and the Monkees and the Beatles? And that's exactly what I was looking for. So she showed me how to do that with the chords in the left hand and playing the melody in the right hand. I always had something in my brain so I could do stuff by heart. You know, I just, you know, put it down and play it. I could do that. So anytime I play a piece, I'd add more to it, and they would say, "Oh, it sounds good, but it's not what's written there." So that's how I got my start on that. I took lessons from her for a while, and what's that? I'm trying to read what Scott's having to say. If you have any other questions, please send them to me, and I'd be happy to help you out with that. And I'm going to do a piano song for everybody right now, so it won't be just me talking all the time. And let's see. Let me see what I can do. I think I'll do this one right now because like it's kind of appropriate because it's raining out. Let's see. We're going to try the microphone and see how that sounds when we're doing this. So. Let's see, I gotta go to the ends. I don't have anything here yet. Sorry. I think it's under the I, of course. That's of course where it would be. Sorry. There we go. All right. This is we'll see how the microphone on the piano sounds and let me know how it sounds on that. Okay. So this is It Never Rains in Southern California. It Pours by Albert Hammond. Never Rains in Southern California. It Pours. And that was by Albert Hammond, of course. And I'm going to segue into this right now. Let's see. Um, so I was going to tell you about some of the bands I've seen in my day. I think the first concert I went to was the Led Zeppelin. And I saw them when they put out Led Zeppelin 3, thank goodness. So that was a little quieter album. They had some acoustic stuff on there. So my ears weren't totally blown out. And it was at the Boston Garden. One of my best friends had tickets that he won from WMEX. And we were supposed to go to this show with all these different bands playing. And as it turned out, the only band we saw was Led Zeppelin because the other show got canceled. So they said to us, well, we can't give you that, but we can give you front row seats to Led Zeppelin. I said, oh, well, we really don't want that. Yeah, right. So it was incredible, really cool. So front row seats, but it was really, really loud. My ears were ringing for like a week after that. So that was probably the first concert I went to, and then that was at the Garden. I saw the Moody Blues at the Garden, Yes at the Garden, and Aerosmith I saw at Wayland Junior High School when they first came out. They were playing at a junior high school, and I was sitting on a exercise mat right next to Steven Tyler. So that was at the very beginning when they just released Dream On and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. And then I saw Procol Harum, the Jeff Beck group with Beck, Bogart, and Appice, the Eagles, a long time later, Sly and the Family Stone at the Cape Cod Coliseum, the Kinks at the Coliseum also. I used to go to the Cape Cod Coliseum during the summer. I used to work at Stop and Shop in Orleans, and I go to this place called Head and Foot and get tickets from them. Let's see who I was. We saw Huey Lewis in the News. Well, Huey could still sing and hear, and they were playing with Chicago. Scott was there for that one. It was fun, wasn't it? Yeah. I saw Roxy Music like twice. The first time I saw him was like the reunion tour, and then I saw him like 10 years after that. They weren't as good as they were the 10 years before. And Brian Ferry, I've seen him many times. He can't sing anymore, but he was great when he was able to sing. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Scott and I saw at Fenway Park. And we also saw The Who there. And Ringo, I took him to see Ringo with the All-Star Band one time. And Paul McCartney I saw at the Garden, and Scott went with me to Fenway to see him too. And we saw Billy Joel at the Garden. I saw him at the Garden, and then everyone went to Fenway Park to see him. And free concert I went to was Emerson, Lake and Palmer with Edgar Winter's White Trash and Albert Hammond, and that was the free concert at the Hatch Shell, which was pretty cool. And saw the Edgar Winter group with at the Cape Cod Coliseum with Rick Derringer. And one of Scott's favorites, King Crimson, I've seen a number of times. And so let's see. Let me get back to the questions here, see who else had a question for me. I saw that someone else gave me a question. Who have I seen the most times in concert? I would say Emerson, Lake and Palmer I saw quite a few times. Every time I saw them, I'd watch one of the different performers playing because I saw them so many times. I'm trying to think. They were a big influence on my playing. They played so well. They were just phenomenal. Let's see. Huh? Paula had one too?
Yeah, do you have a favorite pianist that you like to play?
I sort of.
Or that you want to play?
I'd love to play like Keith Emerson, but that's just about impossible because he's not around anymore, and he was just a great piano player. Also, Rick Wakeman, Scott and I saw him, and he's a great piano player too. He played on a lot of studio albums for all different people. So my favorite colors, I'd have to say orange and purple, and deep blue for the sea. And my favorite flower would be lady slippers found in the Cape in the woods. And Dadine Robert Gonet has, I hope I got the name right. What's my favorite type of music to play? I like something I have to work on before I can play it. Older music with intros is pretty cool. No one is familiar with. I do like, I'll do this for everybody. This one is, you've heard it before. This is Over the Rainbow I'm going to play because it has an introduction which I really love, and nobody knows it, of course, because nobody ever plays it. They always play like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, but there is a beginning to it. I used to work with this guy in a salon, and he knew the very beginning. That's how I learned it. It's pretty cool. And this is Over the Rainbow for everybody. I'm breaking this up so you don't have to listen to me boring talk all the time. So I know you guys want to know more about me tonight, but want to be able to play some music for you too, because that's what I really do. Let's see. Too many songs. That's the problem. You try and find one song, and it's like, oh, where did it go? Where is it? And I probably went by it again. Let's see. Did I go by it? Probably. I'm going to go right to my other... Over there. There we are. All right. Has anybody ever heard the version of Eva Cassidy doing it? It's she does a really fantastic job on it. So this is Over the Rainbow, the long version with the introduction. That's Over the Rainbow for everybody. And that's one of those songs that has an introduction at the beginning. There's a lot of songs like that. There's some by Nat King Cole that I worked on. And if you go to the old versions of the songs, you can find the introduction. A lot of the music that I have has the introduction, and most people just browse over it and just go to the regular song. I try and do the whole thing if I can do it. It's a lot better that way. The song lasts a little longer that way, too. So let's go back to my list here. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, what do we have? I'm going to promote. I want everybody to know that I have a new video up on YouTube. I've seen like 3 people have seen it so far, and it would be nice if everybody else could check it out. That would be great. I need some more traffic on that. And it's New York State of Mind. If you want to check that out, it's been up there since yesterday, day before yesterday. So please check that out. It's pretty cool. Let's see what else I got here. when I do this, what I was saying before, some of the stuff is harder to play than other things are. Other things are, and some of the stuff I have to do, I have to work on before I can do it better. I did a few CDs with the bands I was in, and Paula. I don't have any of my own stuff. I don't have the stuff to do it, but I just try and do the best I can on that. It's like this song right here. I've been working on for a while. This is one that my singer didn't know how to do it in the right key. He couldn't sing it in the right key, so what I had to do was I changed the key, and what I did was I just have the chords up in front of me. So I don't know if you can see it. It's just the chord progressions on this, and I had to learn how to do it from there. I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter. And that's when I had to write out so I could have it because it wasn't in the right key for him. So that was a little bit of a challenge. And then trying to figure that out too. I was just sitting there transposing all the chords so it was in the right key and stuff. And it took a little work to do that. But yeah, there's certain songs that I have to concentrate on when I'm doing them, like that one. And Pure Imagination is another one. That's a difficult one for me to play. So I have to always pay attention when I'm doing it. And Margaret wants to know if I sing. I used to a long time ago. I do much better just playing now. My mother thought that I had a lovely voice, but she was never listening to me, so she had no idea what I was talking about. So, that's the way that was. Let me see what else I have for questions here. Huh? Yeah? Yeah. I already answered that. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't made any recently at all. Yeah, on my website you can check out my music that I did. It's on Mark Davis Piano Music. If you want to check that out, you can download it from there. I think, right? Yeah, you can download it from there. Yeah, yeah. I have to put some more up there. I have to make some new ones because it's been a while. Scott's going to get after me for doing that. So let's see. Andrew wants to know how long did it take to learn how to play the piano. I have to give you the answer: you never stop learning, because I'm always learning how to do more on the piano. It's a never-ending thing. I have a good magical night when I can play nothing wrong, and then other nights when I want to play, sometimes I would just want to walk away from the piano because it's so bad. Everything I touch doesn't work. So it's like anything else, and music's my main focus in life. It's my drug of choice. I don't do any drinking, and I don't do any smoking or any of that stuff. I just play the piano. That's my high. That's how I get, you know, send myself away from my problems and everything else. I love to play, and I play. Andrew wanted to know, can I play any other instruments? I have another keyboard that's upstairs, and it's a workstation, and I think it's a Yamaha. I think it's a Yamaha that I bought, and yeah, I have a Yamaha in the garage. You know, that's the other one. That's the regular piano I play. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I have a real yeah, I got Scott one when I wanted him to play the piano too. But this one upstairs I have is like a workstation, and it's more of a program thing. It has a lot of different sounds on it and stuff, but you really have to be a programmer to use it to sequence all the stuff. I never really had the patience to do any of that stuff, so I basically am a player more than a programmer. But I'll bring that down on a future show so you can check it out and see how it sounds and stuff. It's got some really nice sounds on it and stuff. And talk about Scott. He played the trumpet. I'll let you hear from him about that. Yeah, he's coming over to the microphone so he can tell you his story. Huh?
Can anybody hear me? I don't know. I'm gonna say no.
Okay, can you come over here?
Let me do this. Does that make it any better? Can people hear me?
I don't think so.
I'll get right on the microphone here.
I'm not getting any reaction from anybody.
Yeah, me either.
Oh, there it is there.
Somebody drop a comment that they can hear me.
I can see it on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Paula can
All
hear
right,
you.
Paula can hear me. That's good. Yeah. So I started playing the trumpet. I remember there was a school that I went to called Indian Head in Hanson here. I was amazed with actually my former band director, who was my high school band teacher and my middle school band teacher, came in with a bunch of two other gentlemen. And they did a little bit of a show for us, just to try to get us into music, try to get everybody to play an instrument. At that time, everybody played an instrument. It was a cool thing to do. As the years went on, people quit the band because they didn't have time or they didn't have the interest for it. I actually wanted to play the trombone. I remember that, and my dad was like, "You don't want to play that. You don't want to play the trombone." I'm like, "Okay, well then I guess I won't play the trombone. We won't do that." So I picked up the trumpet. And we started with basic things like hot cross buns and that kind of thing. The funny thing was we actually used to have to log our practice time. And with the practice time, nobody really practiced. We'd always get candy if we did practice, but everybody would always sort of fudge the numbers in the back of in the back of the book. It was Accent on Achievement. It was a little learning book, probably about 50 pages, simple songs. I remember in middle school, well, 8th grade into high school, my band director, who was my high school band director and my middle school band director, decided to switch me over to the French horn. I wasn't really a fan of that. The instrument wasn't really in good shape, didn't really work. The lead pipe kept breaking every time you would put air into the instrument. Wouldn't work. So I wasn't really a fan of it. High school came around. Band director actually switched instruments with me because he realized that it was broken. And I don't know. I just went off to competitions after that. I started studying with a private teacher who was recommended to me by a gentleman named Bob Ferrante, who was actually a fantastic horn player out of Brockton. And I got to actually play alongside him in a few alumni community band concerts. Went off to competition, so SEMSPA and senior districts, which are higher level players, people that really know how to play their instrument very well. I missed it both times, just by the skin of my teeth. If I practiced maybe a little bit more, I would have been a lot better. But there were people there that was so good. There's people that memorize the audition piece 100%. I could never do that. I wasn't a memorizer. I couldn't do that at all. I'd have to have the music in front of me as just a guide. Just like my dad, I'd sort of hear it by ear, but mainly I can read it, but it's still a little bit difficult. I have to hear the piece to be able to play it. But yeah, that's about it. I do remember this other thing, that the fire alarm went off in senior districts as I was starting to audition. We had to clear out. Somebody had burnt popcorn and set off the whole smoke detector, so the school had to be evacuated. So, I don't know. Interesting.
You tell them about the horn you got for graduation? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was like, he was bugging me the whole time when he was a senior in high school that he wanted to still play the piano. I mean, the French horn, and he didn't want to play the piano at all. But he kept bugging me to go on eBay to try and find one. And I really didn't know anything about French horns. I really didn't want to spend a lot of money on eBay for one because you never know what you're going to get. So I asked his teacher in February, and he said he was going to some kind of a show, and he would pick me up one, a really nice one. And so we decided that we'd wait till he graduated from high school and give it to him as a high school graduation present. He was thrilled. So he's been using it ever since. You got a lot of mileage out of that, right?
Well, I used the other one too.
Yeah, he's got two of them.
I actually bought one off of Facebook Marketplace. It's the exact same thing. It's a little bit of a different color. It has a little bit of a darker sound, I guess. I think the range is a little bit easier to play on it, but it's the same model. It's a Con 8D, which is what the people in the Boston Pops use, and any professional horn player really uses. I do have a Yamaha, what's called a B-flat horn. It's not like a mellophone, which is the standard marching French horn, but it's in a different. It's not in a different key. So the French horn has basically two sides to it. You have the top half of it, and then the bottom half of it. If it's a double horn, they have triple horns. Not going into that, but the basic standard double horn has a B flat side and an F side. The key of the French horn is in F, unlike the piano, which is in the key of C. So when my father actually has to play alongside me or whatever, he has to go down. I think it's 7 steps, or something like that. But yeah, so the B flat horn was only like $500. I know, only $500. Standard mellophone goes for $2,000 easily. It's because it's not popular. It's just a different set of fingerings, kind of different way to put your fingers down on the instrument and get certain notes out of it.
So Linda wanted to know about my profession that I did before I retired. So I was working in the finance field for the last 21 and a half years at Harvard Business School Publishing in the accounts payable department. And that was until they decided that I needed to retire as I was turning 65. So that was a big change in my life to do that. And it was kind of a blessing in disguise because it was right before COVID hit. So I didn't have to worry about going into Boston anymore. It was like an hour and a half each way to go to work. And it was getting really bad. So it was better that I was told that I had to retire. So my brothers were saying, you'll be fine, and I was worried about what was going to happen in my life and stuff. And as it turned out, with the music, I've come a long way, and it's been great for me. And I think this is my purpose right now, doing this, and I'm glad it is, because I make a lot of people happy a lot of the times, so it's good. Before that, I was at Stop and Shop when I was younger. I worked at Stop and Shop down the Cape, and one in Quincy too. And I used to ring the register, and I used to be the bundler. And the funny thing was about the Cape, nobody knew any gentleman that knew how to ring a register. I was one of the few that could. They were impressed. And we had these old Sweeter registers. You couldn't scan anything. You had to key everything in. So that's the way it was back then. And before that, it was like at Pneumatic Scale with my father, a bottling and packaging plant. And I was there till I got laid off from there. And I worked at Wollaston Foundry, went to hell for a couple of months. It was terrible. And then I worked at Work Inc., working with the handicapped people in Quincy. And then I got the job at Harvard, and I was there for that long a time. So, but my main purpose in life's been music, which is great, you know. Yeah, it was a good time to retire, Linda. So I'm going to do a little song for Linda right now. This is Fly Me to the Moon. I hope you like it. Fly Me to the Moon for Linda. Thank you very much. Let's see what else I got here for everybody for questions. Um, um, let's see. Rebecca, are you using like the chords to go with that? It's sort of like you have to sort of like know what you're playing. Are you using it just the fake book? Or are you just using it out of your head, or are you using notes that you're coming up with too? That makes a big difference on that. That's how I usually play. I hear what I'm hear what I'm playing before I play it. Basically, you know, a lot of the stuff is not written there, and I just playing what I think will fit in there. And it just takes a while. And that's how I got my start too. Somebody was asking me about when I really started playing and stuff, and what was going on. The thing was in my life, it was like when I was like in junior high school, I wasn't very popular, and nobody really knew me. And what I did was like I played in a talent show, and I was playing the piano for everybody for that. And I came in first place. I was playing like Sergeant Pepper, and I was playing, you know, the stuff that was current at the time, and all of a sudden everybody was starting to talk to me. It was like, "Oh, this guy is wicked pisser because he knows how to play the piano. He's really good," And from then on, I was like friendly with people. It changed my whole life doing that, which was great to be able to do that. And let's see what else. What do I like most about playing music? It's to make people happy while I'm playing. During COVID, with the help of Scott, I learned how, and still learning, how to use the live stream when people couldn't go out to do things. I tried doing it on my own. I couldn't do it at all. So I started to. I taped the phone to the wall, and it just fell down. I just didn't know what I was doing. I said, "You really need to help me with this so I can do this." And then all of a sudden I was doing it every Saturday night, and I had quite a few people watching every week, which was great. And I still have a lot of people doing it every Saturday.
If you go to YouTube too, you can see the very first video. I think it's on YouTube. It might be
it is
Facebook, but I think it's on YouTube. If you scroll all the way down to the very first video that was ever published, you can see what it was like. It's quite a difference actually with the basement setup, with the camera angles, with
I was heavier too.
Yeah, the weight.
And I had the sweatshirt on, right? A hoodie. Yeah. I was wearing a hoodie at the time.
But it's all experimentation here. That's all it is. It's just sort of like let's see if this works. Let's see if this doesn't work. When I'm here, we work with a lot of equipment. We got 2 microphones set up. We got one set up in the piano.
2 cameras, right?
And we got one set. You can see the other one. And then we got 2 cameras. We get this thing called an A10 Mini that allows you to change cameras with a push of a button. We're trying to get it so that he can figure this out himself, kind of thing. It's a lot of setup though. There's a lot of wires everywhere. It's a little bit confusing sometimes to try to
very
set this
confusing
up. Yeah,
but I'm trying and I'm getting a little better here and there, working at it with Scott. And the more I look and see what he's doing, the more I can figure it out. And like I said, we're going to do that live stream on Thursday night at Marjano's with that whole band. And this week I have like a big cord, so I'll be able to have everybody in the picture this time. So I hope everybody can watch that Thursday night. It'll be fun. I think it starts at like 6:30, somewhere around there. We have a bass player, a singer, sax player, and myself. And we do that once a month. And that's going pretty good. And so it's been great with the internet doing this on Facebook every Saturday night, because I've met a lot of nice people. I mean, everybody that watches every week, I've been friendly with everybody who checks out every week, and it's just kind of nice to have a community that's watching me every week. It makes me want to do it every week. And some weeks I'm not really in the mood, but I still want to do it for everybody. So I want to thank everybody for watching every week. I appreciate that, and giving me ideas of what I can do in the future helps a lot. It's really rewarding to me, and I think it's part of my life's plan to do this, and to help people. Since I've lost, since I don't work at Harvard anymore, I work at a lot of elderly housing places and a lot of assisted living places playing, and a lot of these people don't know what's going on, but they know music, and when I start playing, they all perk up, they all love it, and I'm so happy to be able to do that for everybody, and it makes everybody happy for the hour I'm there or whatever. I usually play extra for them because they're such nice people and stuff, and I think that's why I'm doing this. I just really love doing that for everybody, and I really get a lot of enjoyment out of playing myself too, so it's good. And the best advice I've learned over years of playing with musicians over the years, and make sure your instrument is always in tune. It can make a good performance into a great one, and whenever whenever you're not in tune, people don't know something's wrong, but they know something doesn't sound quite right, and that's why, a lot of the times. And then the other thing is when you're playing a song, you never stop the song. That's called a train wreck if you stop the song. I remember Scott was playing with this band, with this orchestra and stuff, and they started this song, and the conductor was saying, "Hold it, hold it, hold it," and they had to all stop, and it was like a train wreck. It was just like you never stop. You have to keep going no matter what, because otherwise you just jump off the track. Everybody knows something's going on, something's going bad. So you have to do that, and whatever happens, keep playing, and otherwise it's a train wreck, and which everyone would notice. And be professional at every performance. I try to do that. And Patty Metzger has been asking me this question. She asked me on Facebook, and now she's asking me now, where did I get my patience from? I'm easygoing. He says, not all the time, right? Ask Scott, I'm not always nice, most of the time, right? I'm a Cancer, and I was born in June 23rd, so it's my personality and stuff. But I've had some times when I'm get really upset, put it that way, get really angry. And working with different musicians over the years, playing in bands and all these different personalities, you have to get along with everybody, and it's tough sometimes working with people because of all the different personalities. As you can see, I have a lot of different bands I've played in. I have these right here on the wall. I don't think people can see them, so I'm going to have Scott come over with them. This is a band called The View I used to work with, and you've seen Tom. Tom's been down the house before playing the bass, and Dennis is the singer on the other side, and we used to call him Dennis O'Diamond because he used to play all of Neil Diamond songs, and everybody loved the way he sounded like Neil Diamond. And Liz is the drummer. She's now over in where is she? Tennessee. The drummer, Liz, the drummer. She's in the in the blue, yeah, in the blue. And she's doing it professionally too, and full time. And Monica's no longer with us, but she was the singer. She was a great singer. She did a lot of Bonnie Raitt and stuff like that, and she did a nice Black Velvet, and she did a nice Linda Ronstadt and stuff. And that was that band. That was The View, and we used to play all the different clubs and stuff. And this band, my friend Tom Rashad plays. He comes over my house, for coffee all the time. I played with him for a number of years. This is the White Knights, and Steve Marion. He's still playing, I believe. He has all kinds of toys. He played all the guitars and stuff, and he plays really loud. He's like, he was the type of person. He had to keep practicing his part when we were having a rehearsal, and he'd have to made us go over his part every time, and I'd get a little upset about that because I had no patience with that, and that kind of got me upset, But he was a great guitar player and stuff, and Tom was a great bass player. Michelle was a good singer, and Ronnie was playing the drums. Ronnie's the one with the hat on in the back, and Michelle's in the middle, and Tom's on the other side there, and me, I'm the handsome one with the little mustache there, down in the corner there, with my blue special outfit on. That was the big 80s clothes we were wearing back then. We did like a couple of things. We used to play at the Avon Townhouse all the time, and we get a lot of weddings out of that. And what else we did? We played at the in Brockton at the cable company, at Comcast from Brockton. Now it's a pot store, but we played there a couple of times. And we entertained the King one time. The King from what was it? What was the name of that thing? That thing we went to in Carver. King Richard's Fair. The King was there, and we had to entertain him one time. That was a circus. I don't know if anybody's ever gone to that. It's pretty crazy. But that's where I get my patience, I guess. I used to, I was down in my basement one time. This is one story I'll tell you. And this guy came, and he was from Berkeley and stuff. And you know, there's a lot of Berkeley people. They find themselves more superior than anyone else. And you know, I was just there to have a good time and just play the music and stuff. So we were doing song by the Rolling Stones down in my basement, and I had an organ at the time. I was playing 5-piece organ, and we were doing Jumpin' Jack Flash, and he says he couldn't figure out, there was something wrong with the song. He couldn't figure out what it was, and he said, wait a minute, there's something wrong with the song. I don't understand why something doesn't sound right. So he said, I know what it is. There's no organ in Rolling Stones. I told him he could leave my house right then and there. I was so mad, you know. I says, and there was organ in Rolling Stones. They might have been in the background, but it was still there, you know. But, you know, I try and get along with everybody, you know. It's not worth it, you know. It's like when I was younger, you know, I wanted to be heard all the time. And, you know, when you get older, you say, like, well, you're hired to do the job. You know, when I play, like, weddings, cocktail hours, I used to get upset because nobody could hear me playing because the sound was so loud with the crowd when they come in the room, and everybody was ignoring what I was doing. And I says, well, I'm here to play, so, you know, if people hear me, that's fine. If they don't want to listen, you know, that's fine too, you know. So I don't know what else to tell you about that, but that's about it on that. I don't know. Let's see. Well, yeah, I know. Yeah. I think he's getting too old. I heard they were doing something with Paul McCartney, I thought, weren't they? I think they were, Rolling Stones were doing one more song, and I guess Bill Wyman was coming back for the one song. He hasn't been with the Rolling Stones forever, the bass player. So I don't know what that's going to sound like. Let's see. Yeah, who's that from? Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Donna, I saw your question too. I kind of like some classical. My friend Tom is totally into classical, the bass player. I like Beethoven, the Ninth Symphony, and some Bach, and you know, I like theater music a lot more. You know, I've been listening to The Greatest Showman lately. I've been working on that, and I'll probably have that for next week for people. I'll do a song from there. And no opera, though, because, like, my grandfather used to ruin it for me with his opera. He used to sing like Mario Lanza, and it was like, ooh, it hurt my ears. Couldn't stand it. Trying to think what else. What else can I tell everybody? I'm a big collector of things. I collect a lot of 5.1 stuff. I don't know if anybody knows what 5.1 is. If you can see my basement, I have a lot of speakers all around my basement. And I have this stereo system in my house that it'll play through all the speakers, and they all have different things going on at the same time. It's pretty cool. I have some here. I'll show you real quick. They're sort of collector's items. If Scott can, you know, put them on the screen there. This first one's the Carpenter's Greatest Hits, and I spent a lot of money on it. It's out of print. You can't get it anywhere, so you have to, you know, auction it off to try and buy it. But it's all surround sound. It just sounds incredible. It's like nothing you've ever heard before. And there's another one I have, is one by Roxy Music. This is Avalon. That's in 5.1 too. It's pretty cool the way they do that. So you hear different stuff going on. You hear more of what's going on than just a regular LP. You know, you have like 2 channels, 2 speakers, and that's it. When you listen to 5.1, you can hear so much more. This is one that's a DVD audio. This is a Linda Ronstadt one. It's an older one. That's all her standards, and that's in 5.1 too. It's pretty cool. I also have this one. I think this one would be recognized by a few people around here who always make the request for it. Let's see. Yeah, this is one, Diane, you'd like this one. This is, I used to play the Hitchin Post until the whole COVID struck. I used to play the Hitchin Post every Friday and Saturday, I think it was, for the dinner hour. But it was hard to do that. This one Scott's showing you right now, The War of the Worlds. This is the one with the guy from the Moody Blues, Justin Hayward, doing the song "Forever Autumn." That's in 5/1 too. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And Diane, you'd like to see this one too. This one's really cool. Can you lift this one right here? Yeah. All right. Yeah. This is a big one. This is a big one I have. This I got in the reduced rack from Amazon when they used to have good stuff on reduced. This is like all the Moody Blues stuff in 5/1. It's really cool. Really good stuff. And there's one by the Beatles in 5/1. This is the Love one. And the reason I'm sort of pushing 5/1 is because like they don't make it that much anymore. You know, there's not everybody is now doing downloads. You know, they either download something, and you can't do 5/1 in downloads, but you can get them on like what's the name of it? Spotify and the other pay services like Pandora, and you can't get the actual copy for yourself, which is kind of horrible. You know, here's a couple more that are 5/1. This is the Tipping Point by Tears for Fears and Goodbye Yellow Brick Road by Elton John. They're both in 5/1, which you can't get anymore. That's gone, you know. When the Beatles come out with stuff, Revolver was just put out as a regular disc. You know, they didn't have 5/1 for that. And the only way you could get the 5/1 was on the internet. You had to rent it every month, and I don't like renting stuff. I want to have my own copy of that stuff. So that's why I do that. That one right there, if you show everybody the front of that, this is that one by Tears for Fears, and if you turn it around and show them that, it's what's it say on there? It says no. Yeah, holding the music in your hands. This is a guy from England. I find all the stuff from him. He's distributing all this stuff, and every time a new one comes out, I go check with him. And he's one of the few people that are still doing 5/1. And this guy's named Paul Sinclair from the UK, and it's all Dolby Atmos and 5/1, which is really cool. The latest one he's doing is one coming out in August, which is ABC, the Lexicon of Love, and that's getting remixed and remastered by Steve Wilson, who's a huge producer. He's really good, really good. His stuff is phenomenal. He's done a lot of stuff by Jethro Tull and King Crimson and Emerson, Lake and Palmer. It's great stuff, and really good stuff, and it sounds so good the way he does that. He actually did one for Chicago. He did this one right here. And he's a young guy, and he says he didn't hear everything that was going on in the Chicago. That's the second Chicago album, and he redid it, remastered it, and everything, and you could hear that much more from that. It's really cool, really cool. I have a huge library. That's part of my downfalls. That's one of my things, you know. The only problem with all this stuff is like a lot of the times they do it for a limited time, so you can only get it for so long. I could probably do a Chicago night. It's kind of hard with just, you know, piano without the horns and stuff, but there's some stuff I could do. I could do that some night. I was a big Chicago fan, the early Chicago stuff, and then what was the other band? Blood, Sweat, and Tears, when they were doing their stuff too. That's really good too. You know, the other unique thing I have here is pretty cool. I have this one. This one I got. This one's a collection one. This is a hybrid multi-channel. This is this is a quad. It's a quad one, and it's surround sound in quad, and it's really good. It's like a sampler. They have like different people on it. It's got like Jeff Beck on it, and Miles Davis. It's got Bob Dylan, Friends of Distinction. The OJ's doing Money, 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 and Without You by Harry Nilsson. It's a really good thing. It's like hearing it for the first time because it's like so much going on. Here, you can show them that one. And I have one more to show you. These are my Chicago ones. They're Quadios. They're in 4-channel stereo. This is this one. And so it's 4 channels rather than 2 channels. And so with my system, I can put it through 4, so you can hear that much more on it. It's pretty cool. And then they just came out with a couple more. And this is the other one they have. This is the Doobie Brothers in Quadio, which is cool. I think I'd have to die before these go away. Somebody wants them from a yard sale. Yeah. So that's my music, you know. So that's what I do. I'm always looking for stuff too. What's coming out, and that's the problem. They only come out and then they're gone. And then if you don't buy them right away, then you got to go to eBay to buy them, and they're so much more money. It's wicked. Yeah, I have some nice rare stuff. It's fun. It's fun collecting that stuff. I have a few albums too. I got this Elton John one. It's kind of cool. I got this on Record Store Day. This is Don't Shoot Me, I'm the Piano Player. And that's 2 discs rather than 1. This is a vinyl. I don't do too much vinyl. It's too much work. I'd rather have the CDs or the Blu-rays. So let's see what else I can do for everybody. I think I gotta do. What time is it? It's getting there, huh? Yeah. Does anyone have any other questions for me? I'm trying to give you as much information as I can. I got a fly in the house. I'm trying to horn in on my business here. I have 2 brothers and a sister who I'm close with, and that's about it, I guess. I'm gonna do one more song for everybody, and I want to thank everybody for watching. And I hope you got some information out of me that you didn't know before. And I'll be back next Saturday night doing my thing. And I want to thank Scott for helping out. I really appreciate what he was doing. And Scott, you want to say hi for a second? Huh? Other children? No. Me, no. Just Scott. That's it.
Favorite piano artist?
Yeah, I sort of said that. Yeah.
And then favorite concert ever?
That's hard. There's a lot, There's one I didn't really. The one we didn't care for too much the last few years is the Happy Together tour, because it's fallen apart over the years. Nobody's left, that can sing anymore. And it's like going to a covers band thing. Nobody original is singing anymore, and it's kind of sad. The Turtles aren't around anymore. It's just one of the guys from the Turtles, and last time we saw him, he was just so messed up. He's no good, right? So, yeah. So I'm going to end the night with a song called Pure Imagination for everybody. And thanks again for watching. And don't forget about next Thursday. Thursday will be in Boston there. We'll see how that goes. And at Marjano's with the group. And I'll be back Saturday night here. So thanks. And Yo Scott from Ed R. Sullivan. This is Pure Imagination for everybody. But thanks for watching. I'll see you guys. Have a good night. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.